good evening, everybody. It's Friday. Welcome to Victory Talk. Welcome to Victory Talk. We are so excited to have you with us. I am one of your hosts, Lady J, and my girl Key.
Hey everybody, happy Friday.
Listen, we are excited. It is Women's History Month. Although I feel as though Women's History Month should be every month, it's every day to the week, it's every day in the month because we as women, we rock. Y'all know what I say, the men are the head, but the women are the neck. They can't move their head without us. They need us. They need that neck. So in my book, it's Women's History Month every day, every day. So I'm so excited to have these amazing, these phenomenal women with us this evening. And shortly after I do a little housekeeping, I am going to let them self-introduce because their bios. Listen, okay, I do not get intimidated. I do not. I am so secure in the woman that God has me to be. But let me tell you, when I was reading these sisters' bios, I'm like, Lord, am I slacking? I mean, with all that I do. And y'all, you know, our Victory Talk viewers, y'all know me. Y'all know my background. Y'all know the sister be on top of everything. I keep the wheels on the bus going round, okay? But listen, these women, woo! And so I'm not even going to try to dive into their bios. I'm just going to let them give you a brief synopsis of themselves. But before I do that, I just want to do a little housekeeping. Y'all know how we do. Hey, Jean, thank you. Y'all know Regina is my girl. That's my sister from another mister. And so, thank you, Jean. Before I do a little, before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping. Y'all know how we do. We want you to grab your phones, grab your laptops, your tablets, whatever. Sow the seed of sharing, share, because something is going to be said tonight that your sister, your auntie, your grandma, your daughters, your cousins, somebody's going to want to hear something to share tonight. And so you want to share. Yell upstairs, tell them, hey, Victory Talk is on. Everything got stopped. See y'all in an hour, okay? And so I am so excited. So before I get started, Key, you got anything you want to add?
I don't have anything new. Oh, I do have something actually that I discovered today, kind of unrelated, sort of, but in case anybody else was slipping like me, daylight savings time is Sunday, y'all. It crept up on us. I don't know why. Normally you hear about it everywhere, but I literally saw this morning that it is this Sunday. Y'all don't get caught slipping. All right, change your clocks back. Sunday morning, 2 a.m., change it back. That's it.
Don't y'all show up at church early, all extra early and whatnot.
You're going to be parking lot pimping because
But the truth, listen, if I'm honest, okay, if you had not have made that post, I would have been the one that would have been there all early, talking about like, where everybody at?
Where's everybody?
That would have been me because I did not realize it. And y'all sitting there looking with that blank face. Y'all know? Did y'all know, ladies?
I just let Apple like update my phone and Alexa do her thing. I don't go ahead.
But yeah, so yes, that's it. Thank you, Key, for catching that. My little sister, she always on top of stuff. She is always on top of stuff. So listen, we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. Our guests are just, they are phenomenal women, and I say that, and I do not say that loosely. I say that with all of the power and the gusto within me. And so I am so excited to have them. And not only are they phenomenal women, they are phenomenal sisters. They are phenomenal African American women out here and not just rising to the top, they are climbing to the top. And what I love about each of them is that they do not have the crab mentality. They do not have the crab mentality that so many people, and I'm not just going to say women, but so many people in this world can have. They are taking other sisters and brothers with them as they climb. And so that excites me. That just amazes me and truly excites me. They are about community service. They are about developing and growing in their families. And it shows. It shows. And they are not just um I was gonna say soldiers, but they are soldiers, but they're not just soldiers. They are like soldiers who are really pressing through, because yeah, you are soldiers, but you're soldiers for life, and you're pressing through life. And even with the things that they deal with in their own personal lives, they keep pressing. And so I am excited to introduce to each one of our viewers Lieutenant Colonel Malika Morgan, Lieutenant Colonel Letitia Lewis, and Captain Deborah Nelson. Amen. And so I'm just going to jump right out for the moment, and we are going to start. We're going to start down here with Captain Deborah Nelson, and then we will go on up. And so if you guys would, introduce yourselves, share, anything that you want to share. You can share, your family, your background, your history, whatever it is that you want to share. And you can be as transparent as you want to, but just please know that you are going out nationwide. So, and I say that because we are Facebook wide. We are we are completely virtual. We on YouTube, websites, Twitter, Instagram. Okay, so you going out. So make sure that you share whatever you share. You comfortable with sharing it. Okay, sis.
Hey everybody, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm truly humbled to be here tonight. I just wanted to say that first. So I'm Deborah, Captain Deborah R. Nelson. I'm a soldier first. That is my full-time career. I'm active duty, currently stationed in Baltimore, Maryland, and serving as a assistant professor of military science at Morgan State University, the Morgan State. This job is truly rewarding. I'm just so thankful to be able to mentor and coach future officers. They're college students, but they're soon going to be commissioned officers, and I'm just thankful to be able to pour into their lives. My night job, which is also feeling like a full-time job, is I also do business consulting for people who are interested in starting their Airbnbs, vacation rentals, and the name of that business is For My Legacy LLC Business Consulting. So I, in my personal life and in my career, is constantly educating, mentoring, teaching, and just wanting to see people win.
All right, all right. And we're gonna run on up the street with Captain Deborah. Are you you have a family?
I do. So my family is very tight knit. My parents are local. My significant other, Eric, we're a long distance dual military couple right now. So he's true supporter, and I don't have any children. I'm not married yet, but that's where I'm at.
All right now. Okay. Let's go on up to Lieutenant Colonel Letitia Lewis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Letitia Lewis. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, as you can probably hear from my accent. I've been in the military for 22 years. I am an active guard reserve soldier, which means I'm stationed here in the state of Maryland, but I am active duty. I am currently pursuing my doctoral degree in strategic leadership, and I will graduate in May, thank God. So I'm super excited about that. I'll be Dr. Lewis. And I just hope that I'm able to share some of my experiences during this workshop, and I would hope we be able to learn something in return.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. And how about you? Do you have a family?
Yes, I'm married and I have a daughter.
Okay. How's your daughter?
Oh, my daughter is grown. My daughter is 24. Yes, I have a 24-year-old.
Listen, this me rubbing on the screen, trying to get some of that.
Wait a minute. Let me get a little bit closer so I can.
Right. She like she a baby herself.
I probably had her a little younger than I should have, but yes, I have a 24-year-old.
Girl, that's some good genes. You know they say that good black don't crack.
Yeah,
That's
but
real.
I'm also not that old. But yes, I'm on the other end though. The other end of 40, creeping over.
Hey, still,
But
still. Yes. Amazing. Okay, Lieutenant Colonel Malika Morgan, because you have had a day, sis.
Have I? Lord, thank you guys for inviting us. I'm so excited to do this. So I am the professor of military science at Morgan State University and Coppin State University and the department chair of military science. And that is a 20-year full circle for me. I graduated and commissioned out of Morgan State, and they saw it fit to bring me back 20 years later to run the program. I have the distinction and honor of being the first female selected to be the professor of military science. So I am so forever grateful for that legacy. And I've been in the Army now almost 20 years, and I am married with 2 kids. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, 2 boys. So I get to be the queen of my castle. But I'm excited to talk about my career. I don't want to bore you guys with all the things we've done. I'm sure the bios can be shared, but more importantly, I'm excited about women's history. As Lady J initially said, yes, we serve our country proudly, but I can tell you, because I know both these women personally, that they are about their business, but they are about sisterhood and uplifting others, always and forever. So I'm grateful to share this stage and talk with you guys this evening.
Now, before we go any further, so you mentioned sisterhood. Can you guys share? I know that your connection is Morgan and military, but then you guys have some other connections. Anybody want to share?
So, yes, so Colonel Lewis and I, that's my sister, that's my soror. We're both Deltas. And Deborah, I'll let you share.
And me and Letitia are both Persian angels.
Nice.
So on top of the military, on top of just being sisters, we also have the Greek organization connection, and we all just support each other because we love what each other are doing. There's not a time that I don't call Letitia and she's like, hey girl, I'll be there. There's not a time I can't say, hey Deborah, I need this, and she's like, got it.
I love it. So how long have you ladies known each other?
So I think, at least for my whole military career, I knew Letitia was an upperclassman when I was first coming to Morgan. So we've known each other for almost my whole career.
Wow.
And then I knew of Deborah, but had a chance to meet her over the last years. We have a lot of friends in common. The Army is small, and we all know each other. I mean, there's only so many Black female officers. So typically, you probably are less than 6 degrees of separation from knowing each other, friends, family, people you've served with.
All right. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. We're going to come back to that because I think that's worth exploring. Just some background on Women's History Month. Women's History Month is a month-long observance dedicated to education about the celebration of women's contributions to history, society, and culture. The setting aside of a month to recognize women's history is based on the idea that it is important to give special attention to such stories because they are often and have historically been erased, excluded, and ignored or unappreciated. Women's History Month takes place every year during the entire month of March in the US, the UK, and Australia. In Canada, it takes place in the month of October. So today's Women's History Month is observed in many countries, the existence of Women's History Month, like other months dedicated to marginalized groups, such as Black History Month, such as Black History Month. It is not intended to imply that women's history is only worthy of a single month of attention. Instead, it is often thought of as a way to emphasize that women and their contributions should be given more attention, more than less. Amen. And so, my question is this: what does Women's History Month mean to you, and why do you ladies think that it is important that we celebrate it? And this question is also to our viewers as well. Anybody can jump in.
Especially.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Come on, Deborah.
Especially in today's society, I feel that women now are kind of wearing a lot of different hats than we used to wear in the past. Before it was just like set titles. It was wife, mother. But like today, I think it's even more important to highlight all the different things that we're doing. We all have careers, we're going home to families, you're going home to children, you're building businesses, you're getting your doctor's degree. And we are breaking that traditional, we just have two roles in life. And I think that, Women's History Month is that time to not only just like reflect on what you've done, but to look at another woman and be like, I see all that you're doing. I see everything you're accomplishing. And I support you and feel where you're at with that, because it's not easy, trying to be 100% and on top of your game in every area. And I think Women's History Month allows us to just look at each other and see how far we've come in history and being able to celebrate each other's accomplishments and wins.
I love it. Letitia, do you guys mind if I just call you by your first name? I don't do. Okay. You good?
No issue at all. No, Deborah hit it. Women are wearing many hats as they always have, but I think what's more important now is that it's time to acknowledge that women are not only just in the homes, but they're outside of the homes, and we're making differences. So, yeah.
Malika, did you want to jump in and add anything?
I think they hit it on the head. It's time for us to have a month to kind of just acknowledge each other, and then just bringing women to the forefront. As often as we can do that, the better.
Yes. Yeah. I think it is very important, and I'm so glad that it's more it's being more publicly, acknowledged now. I think it, because I can't remember as I was growing up as a teenager, and y'all know I'm real open. I'm pushing up 55, so I'll tell you real quick. It's been a minute since I was a teenager, but in growing up, I do not remember hearing about Women's History Month. Even in my 20s, you know what I'm saying? And so now I think it is important, even more, because women, we were the backbone. We are the backbone in these, organizations and these institutions, not taking anything away from our men, because without them, the strength that they possess and they bring, to the table, it's helping us to be able to have them to stand on. But I think the women, we are the backbone. And as I said when we first started, I keep the wheels on the bus going around, and we juggle so much, not just in, the secular world, but in, our businesses, and, in corporate world, and we do so much. And without the vision that we have, the creativity, the push, the, organizational skills that, requires, again, not taking anything away from our men, but women, we are known for, to be able to do multiple things, wear multiple hats, because as Malika said earlier, she was having a meeting and her 5-year-old baby needed some attention. She had to get on mama's lap and do what she had to do while she was still working. When we think back to, slavery time, you know, these mothers, they bundled that baby, they swaddled them, they put them on it, they strapped them to themselves, and they kept doing what needed to be done. And I think that, the world needs to take more note and realize that even when we are not feeling good, even when we're sick, we're hurting, we're in pain, we emotionally, my girl Key, she's struggling right now. Her dad is ill, but, emotionally, she put it, compartmentalized and doing what needs to be done. And as she said, I put on that face and I do what I got to do in the moment that I have to do it in. Yes. And so that's what we do. So I'm really Women's History Month. Yes. I'm for it all. I'm for it all. Key.
Yeah, before we move on to our next question, you guys really did, sum it up in a nutshell, but just to add in the fact that, we are so talented and we just take the back seat a lot to a lot of things. That whole, like, I'm going to just stay in my lane. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to speak when I need to speak type thing. Like, we're not doing that anymore. And so even, as we threw in there when we were advertising and marketing for the show, and we threw in there the, who run the world girls, because we really do. Girls, ladies, women, whatever it is that you want to call us that's positive, we are really doing the daggone thing nowadays, okay? So workplace, ministry, sports, mechanics. I have a lady that's on my Facebook page who is in the construction industry. She is a Caucasian lady, and she is like making major moves in the construction industry. Like, she's been making headlines in magazines, and I am so here for it, because gone are the days when, we're in the kitchen, we're cooking, we're cleaning. We are out here and we are making boss moves, and I'm here for it too. Absolutely.
But we still doing all of that. Even doing what
at the same
we
time
still doing
as everything else. Yes. That part. I forgot about that. Yes.
Then you got to take care of yourself. You got to keep everything tight. You got to keep everything together.
Yes.
All of that.
There's no time to do one thing at a time. We just gotta, keep it moving. All right, ladies. So our next question that we want to talk about is some of the figures who are, known as being extraordinary women, like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, Eleanor Roosevelt, Margaret Thatcher, and the late great, even though some of these others have gone on before us, but you cannot say Maya Angelou without saying the late great before it. They are often associated with Women's History Month, and there are countless others who have earned their place at the table. So we want to know, who is the most influential woman that you know, and how does she inspire you? And anybody can jump in there and go first.
Hi, this is Letitia. If you don't mind, I don't mind going. I would say she's not the most influential, but the former Mother Teresa. And there's a quote that she used to say that I remember hearing when I was a child, and it was, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many rivers." And basically what she was saying is that one person can make a difference.
Absolutely. I love it.
I think I last year I was a part of an organization, and they said, let's flip women's history around and let's talk about ordinary people who do extraordinary things. So I'm going to bring it back to many of us, our favorite person, which is my mother and my grandmother. And why I admire them so is because they were not given half of the opportunity in life that I was given, and yet they pushed me to something they had never experienced or achieved themselves. And because of that, now being 40 and having my own children and family and being on the opposite side of my career, I look back at them with such reverence, because My grandmother never even graduated high school. My mother had me and had to drop out of college. Yet the work ethic they instilled in me, the need for education, yet my grandmother was still like, this is how you cook. This is how you clean. You're going to be a part of this cotillion. Don't you feed your husband on that paper plate? So I had yet pushing me towards the world to break ceilings. And so their lack of experience was their force to really push me. And so they're my ordinary people that you might not know their name, but their extraordinary example to me is who I admire the most. And so I might have a title and people might know my name, but it was because of Karen Harris, it's my mother's maiden name, and Mildred Harris, that even instilled in me the ability to get to the places that I am today. So though I 100% show reverence and to our late greats and people have come before me, sometimes I'm still amazed by the women I run into every day on the street and hear their story. And Lady J and Key for doing things like this. And Deborah and I were just talking in the office this week and we were just having a moment. And so sometimes we don't even have to look too far or look in the book or take it way back. We need to just look in our kitchen, look in our friend group, look at our neighbors, and you'll find some extraordinary women there.
I love it. I love it.
I love that. I could not have said that better myself.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Deborah?
I try not to get emotional. So I would definitely have to say my mother is the most influential woman. It is very important. Like when you're growing up in a household, what you hear and what you see, it does impact you later on in life. And I remember being not even 12 years old. My mom would always say this staple to me. She would say, knowledge is power, Deborah. Knowledge is power. And I remember asking her, like, what is knowledge? And then she made me a very resourceful child. So I defined it. I learned how to spell it. And throughout my entire life, every single time I came into a new challenge or something that required me to grow or to think past what I thought were my limits, I always think knowledge is power. Let me research this. Let me resource this. Let me not be complacent where I'm at. There's always more to explore. I will say that my entrepreneur mindset came from my mom. Being a single mom, she saved $10,000 on her own with 2 children just to move us from one city to another city to give us a better life. And to watch her purchase a home on her own as a single mother set a long and standing impression on me for the rest of my life. So everything that I do, I always think, like, in this moment, what would my mom do? Yeah, I would definitely have to say my mom.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Moms are so, and you only get one, so you take care of the one you got.
Yeah. Absolutely.
My mother has been
I'll
gone
tell
for
people.
18 years, and there's not a moment that I don't miss her. There's not a second that, what she taught. I can remember, thinking back, my mom is mean. I used to think she was the meanest mother on the block. And you know what? I thank God that I had a mean mother. So later on in life, when I heard my sons call me the mean mother, or that their friends call me the mean mother, Navi, can you give me a tissue? Because I wouldn't let them do something or go somewhere, or I remember my son, my youngest son. Excuse me, y'all. I remember my youngest son walking to the bus stop, and it was at that time period where the sagging pants were becoming a big thing. And I was like, you know what? I'll buy you belts. I wash your underwear. Don't nobody else need to see your drawers but me. Okay? And so I told him, pull your pants up. And so when he got out the car and he walked across the street, he got on the bus stop. I drove around the corner and I came back and his pants was down and I yelled out the window, pull your pants up while I'm coming across that street, and some other stuff I said to him or whatever. But I remember his friends. His friends talk about that to this day. And to this day, you can't pay my son to walk with his pants hanging down. You can't pay him. And it is so important, mothers, and just to reflect on, just how foundational and just how important they were in, or are, in my case were, but are, establishing and instilling the growth and the values that we need in life. So, yeah, that was just my thought. Y'all have made me think about my mama. Okay, so I have another question I want to talk about because I said I wanted to circle back to the military. As we were reviewing each of your bios for this show, we learned that each of you have extensive, background in, military. And so we want to know what made you decide to enter into the military, and at what age or time period in your life were you sure that that was something that you wanted to do? So, go ahead, Deborah. You had your lips moving like you was going to talk. So since you had your lips moving like you was going to talk.
Wow. So me joining the military, so my faith is something that directs my life in many different directions. And I remember being in school for fashion design. This was well before the military was thought of. I graduated high school. I was like, I'm gonna be a fashion designer. So I went to, art school, and I remember I was doing well. And one day I just woke up and I just felt like I could do something bigger than myself. And I was like, I don't think this is the place. People question that. They were like, what are you talking about? You're doing well. I was like, no, I feel like I should go to school for business instead of paying someone to teach me how to design, and I should be doing something else. I wasn't fulfilled. So I disenrolled myself out of school immediately. So I had the thought, next day I disenrolled myself, gave the funds back. I was like, I'll use it at my new school. And then I had a few friends at Morgan State University. They were like, you should come here. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, well, I think I need to go to HBCU because I was missing that part out of my life. So I went to Morgan State and found out I couldn't use the funds that I was paying for my previous school, so I needed money. Someone introduced ROTC for me. I mean, I was a cheerleader. I was all things girly, and I was like, I am not joining the military. This is not happening. So I went, and they offered me a 4-year scholarship. They were just like, hey, we just need you to come back tomorrow, or we need you to come to the school, take a PT test. And I'm like, I don't have a car. I would have to take a Greyhound at 6 a.m. And they were like, how bad do you want it? So I got on that bus at 6 o'clock a.m. from Atlantic City. I drove it to Baltimore, got on a taxi. I took my PT test in the middle of the heat in the afternoon. I went back home and I passed, and they told me, we need you to come back tomorrow to sign the paperwork, to get everything started for my scholarship. So I took the bus back out there again. And I did all the things. My first year, I did not want to change my lifestyle. I came from a fashion school. I was like, I'm going to express myself. And it was challenging, but there were some great instructors that did not allow me to stay the same. They pushed me. I shed tears. I'll call my parents. It was like, I don't want to conform. When I decided to take the military lifestyle and just embrace it, that is when I started to see another side of me that I didn't even know was possible. So I had 1 semester to make a decision before I was contracted. They basically said, you can either contract or you can get out and you'll be fine. So at the end of the semester, I decided to stay in ROTC. In that moment when I decided to contract, this has been the best decision I have ever made. The people I've met, the discipline, the relationships I've built, the people I've had the opportunity to learn from, the people I've had the opportunity to change lives for, standing in the middle of being able to be the voice for someone else. So to answer your question, I never planned on joining the military. I feel like I was directed and I listened to that feeling inside of me, and here I am now, and I am very blessed to be here.
I love it. I love it. Anybody else?
I'll talk. So this is Letitia. My dad was actually in the Army, so I remember as a little girl putting on his jackets and marching around the house, 1, 2, 3, 4, and looking in the mirror saying, one day this is going to be me. But unfortunately, life happens, right? So I was a teen mom. I had my daughter at the age of 16, and a lot of things changed. And, one day I remember sitting at home saying, at one point in life, I wanted to do the military. So I remember once I finished high school and started applying for college, I also went and talked to a recruiter. And it's been 22 years later, and I'm still here.
Wow.
Yeah. Malika?
I wanted to do a job that I found challenging, yet a job that I would be proud of. So I did JROTC in high school, and I wanted to see how that would look when I came to Morgan. I thought I wanted to be a police officer. So at the time, I'm also from New Jersey, like Deborah. So at the time, to be a state trooper, you had to have a degree. So I said, okay, I'm going to go get a degree. And I'm going to come back to New Jersey and be a state trooper. And I'm going to be a military police officer for the Army. That was my initial plan. And then the longer I served in ROTC, the more I was exposed to when it came to jobs and options. I decided to switch my career path to military intelligence. And I said, I'm only doing 4 years in the Army, not a day more. They're just going to pay for college, and then I'm out. And then, sure enough, when you get promoted, then you make great money. Then you start to travel and like your job. Then they paid for my master's. And then it became very conducive to my lifestyle because, like Deborah said, I was extremely girly and I didn't want to compromise, and I didn't think that this was going to be a career for me. And then I started to appreciate the discipline. I started to appreciate the influence that I got to see day in and day out. If we deployed, I got to see the missions that we were doing that were having huge impact. And then I became very fulfilled with the career decision. And then I tried to get out. And then I decided to stay, though I always jokingly say, I've been getting out of the Army for 20 years and failing horribly at it. So one day when I retire, I'll get it right.
So this wasn't one of the questions that that I sent you guys, but when we do this, often some questions will come up, and feel free to answer however you feel comfortable. But I wonder, how hard is it for women in the military?
I think it's hard for women everywhere. In the military, there is no different. I think one of the questions kind of touched on this, and I know it's like the question that most people don't want to hear about, but just this past weekend, we were at the CIAA in Baltimore, and as we were handing out T-shirts and Army swag, as we call it, to try to get them to be interested in going to college or enlisting or joining the military, a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to go to war, or no, they don't treat women well. And I'm like, ooh, that's a horrible stigma that the military has, but it's unfortunately, that's how a lot of people see the military. And I will tell you, from where we started 20 years ago to where we are growing and getting better. I think it's hard for women no matter what, but every single one of us on the screen, Lady Jane Key included, we're breaking ceilings. Okay, some we see, some are glass. But as we break those ceilings and climb, as we have representation at the top, as we see more people that look like us, we are creating a different environment. So I think it's hard for women no matter what job we're in, corporate America, the military, or anything else. The military is a male-dominated career, so you know that going in. And knowing that going in, you have to have a lot of mental toughness. And you have to know that there will be that additional tax that we all tend to have to pay. But in my opinion, the military as a whole, but the Army has gotten drastically better from where we've come. And it's something that I think the Army is really serious about when it comes to like making sure we stop sexual assault and harassment, making sure that we don't have an environment where jokes are allowed to be said, making sure that people are not allowed to be called sweetie or honey to belittle them. And so we're not perfect, but we are being very deliberate in changing that environment. So I think it's getting better. But is it hard? I would not tell any young lady coming into this military that it's going to be a walk in the park for multiple reasons. But that's one of many.
All right,
Absolutely.
then.
And I think you hit it right on the nose. But it's not only the military; it's just in corporate America also. So one of the things that I have is Leaders Up Tomorrow. This is my nonprofit that I started. And what we seek to do is teaching young people how to communicate, engage, and motivate them, and so that they know what things to look for. And when you see something, you need to say something.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And I'm glad that you actually, added that part in, because you forgot to mention that when you were doing I know when you're doing like an impromptu thing, it's kind of hard to remember everything, but that is amazing to hear about the nonprofit and even Deborah's business that she has. These things are huge, y'all. And, it's all about giving back.
Yes.
It's all about, owning something and leaving a legacy. I love the name legacy in the name of your business. It's huge. So y'all are all making big moves, and it is just wonderful.
That was a question that was
We
just
have a comment from Wayman Wallace. He says, excellent that you, some of you use the ROTC platform to launch into what would be your career. It's absolutely awesome. He says he's pushing his daughter to choose the military, and what a great testimony from you all. We got any more comments before I jump to the next
There
question?
was another one, and I forget who said it. I think I want to say Lola. Was there a Lola Quinn maybe? But her question was, how do you deal with the angry Black woman syndrome? I believe that I pray that I'm wording that correctly. I don't see the question right now, but anybody want to answer that?
I'll take that one. So I think this issue is within, again, the military, corporate America, and my advice, what I've learned to think work, is being confident in yourself. People are always going to have opinions. People are going to put so many titles and labels and try to categorize you as such, but like understanding and knowing who you are, being confident enough to make decisions without feeling like you're being aggressive, or being okay with being confident and just being yourself, 100% yourself. There isn't anything that you can do to really avoid it, but there are things you can do to just not allow it to impact you.
Anybody else? Okay, Key.
I got something on that one. I think that for too long we have kind of tiptoed around that, and it really, it's bothersome to hear that whole just terminology as it relates to us, because I feel like if anything, we're just more passionate about the things that we believe in. And so a lot of times, that's misconstrued as being angry or aggressive or whatever it is, that they say. And so, it's kind of a tough challenge, because sometimes we're feeling like we can't be vocal, we can't express ourselves, we have to stifle certain things, or not speak up when things are wrong, because we don't want to be interpreted as being a certain type of way. But I think that we're doing a pretty good job, I think, in general, at just learning how to navigate the waters and still be able to express ourselves the way that we want, but just in a way to where we're more easily understood, and people aren't just like, oh, there she goes, or it's almost like sometimes people poke the bear on purpose so that they can kind of see how you're going to react to that. And so just, learn, it's a learning thing. Every day that goes by, we never know how we're going to react until we're put into certain situations. And that's another part of our resiliency and our ability to hold our heads high with dignity and class and respect and let people know I am woman, I am fierce, but you will respect me.
Amen.
And I'm dropping the mic on that one. So,
Deborah, you had something?
I did. I actually learned a very valuable lesson in this past year working with Lieutenant Colonel Morgan. So I will also say something that's good to implement, which is something that, so typically when I am in a working environment, I'm very mission focused or very task oriented. So it's not that I intend to not build relationships. I do. I say good morning and I make conversations very quick, and I've always operated that way, and it seemed to work for me. But I had a conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Morgan about how important it was to take that extra time to have conversation and get to know people. And what I've learned is that when you do talk to people on an individual basis, you take that 10 minutes and go sit in their office, they can't really give you that title anymore because they've learned you. They've understood and interacted with you on an individual level. So it's kind of like, even if that was the thought initially, or even if you wanted to categorize someone as such, when you know a person, you know that that's not their intention. So taking that little extra time to go and introduce myself and get to know people has been helpful with that as well.
She just dropped some jewels, y'all. Y'all better pick that up.
I hope they ain't miss it. I hope
pick that up.
Yes. All right, y'all. So we're gonna move on down the street because we are nearing the top of the hour already. Time flies when you're having fun. So we're gonna try to get another one or two in. So I'm gonna say that women are involved in all parts of society, but some matters affect and touch women more than others. Issues like the power of the woman's vote, reproductive rights, and the pay gap, which seems to be a never-ending battle. What do you all think are some of the biggest challenges that we as women are still facing today? And how do you think these will change over the next 20 years? Because things are ever changing. Anybody can jump in there.
So I think it goes back to what I initially said when I said the military is changing, the world is changing. One of the questions I know we may or may not get into was, when do we think there's going to be the next woman president? And I'll say soon and very soon, if she's not dialed in right now or on the screen, because every issue is going to be relevant of its time, right? But how we keep making a difference is that representation. I think it is so critically important because, women's right to vote, it's like, oh yeah, you guys have been had that. You're welcome, Del Syndicate. It's like, oh, you've been had that. Don't worry about that. Or, oh yeah, you guys can have the right to choose. But now I almost feel like we're regressing in many aspects. And we're regressing because there's not enough people back up at the higher platforms to be like, no, it is a woman's right to choose, regardless of state, regardless of a political affiliation or whatever their standpoint is. I think that I think we need more champions. And sometimes those champions might not be as visible. And so I do think that we are going to continuously have hurdles that we need to overcome. But I think that how we solve that over the next year to 20 years is just, you see it now. I love to see young female politics out there with their stilettos, and young female politics on their Instagram rising up and like having a voice, because now things are so visible that it's not, oh, yeah, you care because you're 40 and you're watching the news. No, they're on platforms, and we see the diversity in Congress and hopefully Senate and throughout the White House. We currently have our first female Secretary of the Army. So I'm excited to constantly see that change. And I think we're going to keep going in that same direction. But that starts with, why not me? If not me, then who? So why not someone on this call right now? Be that person. We got entrepreneurs on here. We got Lady J and Key starting their own podcast that's nationwide, Facebook Live. We have Dr. Lewis, who's about to be, crowned a doctor. We are making strides that are unbelievable to where we've come. So I cannot wait to see what's happening in the next 20 years. I'm excited for our future.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I honestly think that was perfectly said.
Agreed. All right, y'all. Let me see if we have any more comments. I don't want to miss anything. Just jumping back to when we were talking about the Black woman syndrome. We have a viewer that said, if you're intelligent, you don't succumb to that angry Black woman syndrome. And they also said people who are disciplined are better at handling emotions. And I absolutely agree. It definitely takes a lot of discipline to be able to. Sometime, when you need to, you got to learn when to speak and just when to just hold your tongue and be like, okay, this is not. You pick your battles. We just pick our battles for sure.
I want to. Before we Key.
Go ahead.
Yes. Before we jump down to our closing, I want to talk about relationships, managing relationships, dating, marriage, families, friendships, etc. All that can be difficult for civilians. So we can only imagine that it can be increasingly difficult for you all. So we noticed that some of you have done quite a bit of traveling, whether it be for schooling, training, or for active duty. Can you or anybody, can you tell us how you were able to manage all these things? Do you feel that it was manageable or more stressful in the end? How do you guys do with juggling all of this?
Been waiting for this question.
You said you was waiting for it?
Well, I think one thing that's really important is to have a calendar or something where you write stuff down. I constantly with a book, jotting down stuff and going back and looking at it. And then also making sure you set your priorities, right? Because everything can't be important. So when I start my week, I look at what things I must do, what things I would like to do, and what are the things that, and that's how you got to kind of take it. Because if you try to put everything on your plate, you'll get nothing done.
Regina said yes. How do you balance jobs, family, and school?
Deborah can attest to this. It's stenciled on top of behind my desk. It says grit and grace. And I have it tattooed on my ribs, grit and grace, because we require both of those when we juggle every hat that we have to wear, whether that's being a mom or a wife or a soldier or a teacher or a friend or a sister, you name it. I think that early in my career, I didn't do it well. And sometimes I constantly tell people, give yourself some grace, because I had mommy guilt when I would miss things because of my military commitments for my children. I would have wife guilt if I wasn't spending the time needed for my husband to be sustained and happy. I would have job guilt if I felt like I was letting my cadets down or someone down or whoever needed me. And sometimes as women, we try to do it all. We suffer mostly from it because we're so willing to give out to everybody. But as I've gotten older and surrounded myself with people who force self-care on me, and girlfriends that say, hey, you can have it all, just not all at once. If that's you picking up dinner tonight instead of you cooking a home-cooked meal, if that's, hey, you're leaving work early, let your staff think what they want so you can spend time with your husband, I would just offer that my cookie cutter answer is, it's hard, impossible, but we do it the best that we can. And sometimes it requires you to have that grit to get up even earlier at 4:30 in the morning to work out on your own because you got to take care of your physical body. You know, if that's, no, I won't make it because I need a moment of peace, and you got to take care of your spiritual body. You know, if that's whatever that is, I encourage y'all, you don't have to do it all. And if you fail at something, fail forward. But give yourself that grit to try, and then that grace when you don't succeed on everything. And if you marry the right man and have a good support system, they will 100% prop you up and support you when you don't even know you need it. So I had to take that one. I know we run out of time.
I love that.
It's okay, because I'm about to say, do you do motivational speaking or something? Because listen,
she gonna have to come to women's ministry and come through.
I'm telling you, like, I'm never speechless. And I know that this is the first time that, you know, we've been in each other. I'm never speechless. Like, that was so perfect. I don't even know what to say. But as I'm listening to it, you know, and this is why we do what we do, the encouragement, I'm so encouraged right now, because I tell myself these things, you know, on a day-to-day basis. And I know Lady J does. Lord have mercy. We wear so many hats. All of us do. And, you know, sometimes we just feel like we feel defeated, or we feel like we're less than, or we feel like we failed if we don't get all the things done that's on the to-do list. So just hearing that it's okay to say I can't. It's okay to say I'm too tired. Not this time. That just gave me life. Look, I'm gonna catch this on the replay and make sure that I take my notes so I can put it up on a sticky note or somewhere as a reminder to myself daily, sis, because that was really, really.
That in a nutshell.
Woo. What a wonderful way to close. Oh my gosh. Go ahead, Letitia, before we close. Go ahead.
No, I was just giving a hand clap.
Oh, you were giving a hand clap. I thought you were raising it. Yes, like that. I'm telling you, I could not have said it better. Y'all, we are at the top of the hour. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do this again. We're going to have y'all back. This has been amazing. And it's a live and learn thing, because sometimes we try to schedule the shows out where we know that they're going to be, you know, a little heavy, or we might need a little bit more time. This definitely could have been a 90-minute show.
Yeah, this could have been a 90-minute show for sure.
We're going to have y'all back. You want to plug? You got your book. You hold up your book. You want to plug?
Well, you can go ahead and talk. You can plug it. I'll talk. I'll hold it.
So Lady J is holding up Mosaics Made from Beautifully Broken Pieces. That is a collaborative project that she and I, along with some other ladies, were on. And it's basically a motivational piece. There's stories about, you know, just women's empowerment, encouragement, going through trials and tribulations, marriages, domestic stuff, divorce, child custody. Oh my gosh, there's something in there for everybody. Mm-hmm. So if you go to our website at www.vlfministries.org, there is a link there to take you to purchase the book. If you'd like to purchase a copy of the book, I believe it's still $25. So anybody, you know, our guests or anybody that's viewing, and I'm so glad that you remember that, because we haven't done that in a little while.
I know.
So if anybody would like to support and they make excellent, I know we're a little bit too early. I don't even want to say we're too early for Christmas, because it'll be here soon as
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. What else?
Mother's Day is coming.
Mother's Day is perfect for that. So you can even purchase it, you know, as a gift if you like. So, ladies, this has been amazing. I know that, you know, every time we have guests on the show, it's just wonderful to sit down, you know, and talk with everyone and just laugh and cry a little bit and learn a little bit. And what more of a better guest could we have for Women's History Month than women in the military? Like, y'all, salute y'all. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your sacrifices for our country. Thank you for the motivation, the encouragement, the giving back. Thank you guys for all that you do. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in tonight to Victory Talk. We will catch you guys again next Friday night for our marriage edition. Same
Fit for
time.
life. Fit for life.
Oh, no,
Fit for life.
I'm jumping to the end of the month. Next Friday is Fit for Life, y'all. My bad, Shay. I got you, boo. Well, Lady J had you, boo. Next Friday night is our Fit for Life session, third Friday of the month. So we invite everybody just to tune in. And then at the end of the month is our marriage edition. So with that, we're signing off. Thanks again, ladies. If you could hold tight for just a second. And good night, everybody.
Good
Take care. Be
night.
blessed. If you got to travel tomorrow in that mess, be
Be safe.
careful.
Yes.